in 5 minutes in a motorcycle than some people do in a lifetime.
In 1967, a 68-year-old man turned up at the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah on a motorcycle so old, so dangerous, and so comprehensively illegal that the officials at the gate tried to turn him away. The tires had been shaved smooth with a kitchen knife. The engine needed to be completely stripped and rebuilt after every 10 minutes of running. The pistons had been cast in tin cans in a garden shed in New Zealand. They let him through anyway, because they'd seen him before, and what happened next produced a world record that nobody in over 50 years has managed to break. The 1920 Indian Scout was the 627th Scout to leave the factory. Standard specification: a 600cc side valve V-twin producing somewhere around 18 horsepower. Top speed, 55 miles per hour. Burt Munro bought it in 1920, rode it once, and decided it wasn't fast enough. So he started modifying it. And he didn't stop for 47 years. What followed is one of the most extraordinary acts of engineering improvisation in the history of motorsport. The cylinder barrels, he made them himself, from sections of old cast-iron gas pipe that the local utility had dug up and discarded. He heated the pipe, burned off the rust, polished the bore, and machined it to fit the pistons, cast in tin cans on his workbench using a kerosene blowtorch. The connecting rods fabricated from a Caterpillar tractor axle, he treated to 143 tensile strength. The cams ground by hand. The engine displacement grew from 600cc to 633, then 850, then finally 950cc, nearly twice the original capacity. Each increase hand-built from whatever material that Burt could source in Invercargill, which is, it should be noted, approximately as far from a specialist engineering supplier as it is possible to be. He worked overnight on the motorcycle. Regularly, 16-hour sessions in the shed, then straight to his day job selling motorcycles without having slept. He burned through pistons the way most people burn through breakfast cereal, experimenting with alloys, testing metallurgy, melting down automobile parts to see if their composition would survive what he was asking of them. He once made connecting rods from a melted DC-6 aircraft propeller because the specific aluminium alloy he wanted wasn't available in New Zealand. He had a failed marriage, a string of crashes, broken bones, and spent every penny he ever earned on the motorcycle. When a 1952 Vincent Rapid broke one of his New Zealand speed records, he didn't despair. He redesigned the aerodynamics, built a streamlined fairing, made it faster. By 1962, he was 63 years old and had one goal: the Bonneville Salt Flats. He sold his television to fund the trip, loaded the Indian into a wooden crate, booked passage on a cargo ship, crossed the Pacific, and arrived in Utah to find the American officials deeply unimpressed by a 63-year-old from New Zealand on a 42-year-old motorcycle with homemade everything. He ran it anyway. 179 miles per hour, a class record. The officials, who had tried to turn him away, stood in silence. He came back in 1966. In 1967, each time the motorcycle was a little different, a little more radical, a little further from the 1920 Scout that had left the factory at 55 miles per hour. By 1967, the Monroe Special, as it was now known, required complete disassembly after every 10 minutes of running. The engine was so highly stressed, so far beyond anything it had been designed to withstand, that it couldn't be trusted for longer than that. Burt stripped it, checked every component, reassembled it, and ran it again. The morning of his record run, he had a heart attack on the salt flat. He told nobody, because if he had, they'd have stopped him. He waited, recovered sufficiently, pushed the Indian to the line. The engine fired. That 950cc hand-built V-twin with its tin can pistons and tractor axle conrods and file ground cams screamed across the Bonneville Salt at 184 miles per hour. His unofficial peak speed, recorded during an incomplete run, was 205 miles per hour. The official record, 184.087 miles per hour in the under 1000cc Streamliner class. Nobody has broken it since. Not in 1980, not in 2000, not today, not with modern materials, modern tires, factory budgets, or computational fluid dynamics. The record set in 1967 by a 68-year-old man on a motorcycle he built from gas pipe and tin cans still stands. Monroe died in 1978. His Indian Scout, the Monroe Special, the 627th Scout to leave the factory, is on display today at E. Hayes & Sons hardware store in Invercargill. Not in a museum in Utah, not in a racing hall of fame, in a hardware store, in the most remote city on earth, which is, somehow, exactly right. And in 2005, Anthony Hopkins played Burt in the world's fastest Indian, a film that introduced his story to a generation who'd never heard of him. Hopkins said afterwards that it was one of the easiest roles he'd ever played, because Monroe's view on life wasn't all that different from his own. The Indian Scout left the factory in 1920, capable of 55 miles per hour. Burt Munro spent 47 years in a shed turning it into a 184 miles per hour world record holder using gas pipe, tin cans, a tractor axle, and an aircraft propeller. There is no lesson in that, no tidy moral, no three-point framework for personal development. There's just a man, a motorcycle, and the absolute refusal to accept what everyone else had decided was the limit.
You can live more in 5 minutes in a motorcycle in some of these events I've been in than some people do in a lifetime. You live more in 5 minutes. But anybody can buy a fast bike today and go fast. Riding it is only 1/100th of the actual experience needed, I think, myself. Although it can be pretty hairy at times too, you know, especially in speed trials. I was running in a speed trial at Drummond 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and the bike was hitting undulations in the road so fast it kept striking my head and finally blew to pieces, and I was blood all over as it poured out of my nose and cut on the face. I got heart shock in 1962 when I got out of control at speed trials at Bonneville. At 150 miles an hour, the bike was slamming over 5 foot at the top and 2'6" from the salt, and leaving a 5-inch wide mark. We measured it all up after, Howard Devaney and I, and I got heart shock out of that, a delayed shock. It struck me 2 weeks later, and I went 5 miles like that, and at 150 miles an hour, I knew I was going to die, because I decided to give it all I had, and it went up to over 180 miles an hour, but it made no difference at all. It just kept slamming into what you call a weave, you know, a violent weave.